because we're in such a video-centric world, that's really like where I want to start with you, because there's this like dichotomy that's addressed in the Fast Company article a little bit, where on one hand, like music videos tied to the late 80s and 90s of MTV have kind of lost steam over the years. And at the same time, we're consuming like more video than ever before. So it seems a little bit contradictory for labels and artists to be moving away from music videos. At the same time, everybody has a YouTube channel and we're pushing everybody to YouTube. It's just, to me, it's like, how did music videos become like this like unwanted stepchild when everybody is doing video? It's so bizarre.
Well, I think it's definitely a platform problem and not a content problem. I mean, you see Charlie XCX's music videos, you see Sabrina Carpenter's music videos. They get millions and millions of views. People love watching this content. In fact, one of the points I made in my article, it was essentially that when it comes to music discovery and feeling closer to the artist, more connected to the artist, I think that connection is so important to the music industry and labels and artists. The music video is the cream of the crop. It is the most perfect way, digitally and online, to introduce an artist to an audience and build community around music. So to think that labels are spending less than ever before, that it's become less of a priority than ever before, when I think the potential for the medium is larger than ever because video consumption has gone up so much. But I think until we're seeing music videos on Netflix, until we're seeing music videos on Spotify more realistically, and Apple Music done in a way where there's some curation involved, whether that's a top 20 kind of list of the top 20 music videos at that time, almost kind of like as a nod to TRL of the MTV days. And then also kind of continuing on to music video curation, which I think could be really powerful. You know, I had my birthday party the other day. I had my projection screen going. I put on the Mets game. But if Spotify had an Apple TV app that I could curate music videos with, make my own music video playlist, but also, you know, have Rap Caviar music video playlist, or have the Indie Finds or Lorem or whatever the playlist is that you're interested in, to have a music video version of these playlists, I would have that on the background. And it's not just background viewing. I think there is a lean-in viewership that would be interested as well.
You're talking about a marriage between the YouTube algorithm, which I think is pretty good in knowing what I want to watch on my homepage, and then the Spotify, you know, personalized radio, or Pandora personalized radio. A marriage of those two things in a way, right?
Exactly. I think, you know, when it comes to Spotify, Apple Music integrating, you know, music videos into their platform, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. I feel as if there is a desire and a need to be elevating this medium. And also from the perspective of the DSPs, it's not like they have to spend any money making this content. It's already being made by the labels. So it's kind of crazy. And then you get a whole nother layer of what would happen if, you know, if once this does take off and becomes more of a priority, what happens when brands come in and start paying for music videos, which I think is really interesting to think about as well.
Well, let's camp on the DSPs just for a hot second, and and I'm sure it's a mystery to you, but you definitely know more than me. One thing we are seeing right now is podcasts are moving to video. In fact, this summer, I think there's a big push, a big shift for everybody, for all the big podcasts, to do the Joe Rogan thing, to do what Conan has been successful with in the past couple of years. Caller Daddy is to try to get everybody doing video. Spotify's behind a lot of that. And then, of course, we have like Spotify Canvas, which has been like whatever that is.
So lame.
And then we have like Apple is the moving album covers. So it is, and of course, Spotify has always been looking for more and more content to keep people on the platform. Why do you think they haven't yet gone all in on music videos?
I think they are risk averse, very much. And I think there's a lot of great things that Spotify has done for the industry, and on the flip side, a lot of not so great things. And I think innovation is stale at Spotify right now. I hate to say it, but
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
I think that they are lacking making any big changes for risk of upsetting the users or interrupting their bottom line. I think ultimately video does take up more bandwidth, and they would need to move around some resources to have some curation that wouldn't just be AI and algorithmic.
Good point.
I would hope there would be some human curation to this as well. And I think they've tried video 3 or 4 times, like come out and send press releases saying basically we're going all in on video, when they didn't actually, and ultimately failed. So I think they've tried video multiple times. They haven't tried music videos. But when we're talking about music videos, I really do think it's the official music video, the videos that would play on MTV, but it's also the live sessions, the blogger text, the buzz sessions, the tiny desk concerts that people love watching as well. That they live on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We have about 50 million views of our videos on YouTube, but there's so much noise on YouTube. And I don't just mean music. There's just so many different things on YouTube that I think that having a more directed, pointed platform for video, like Spotify, where music is king, would make a whole lot of sense and be really good for creators.
That's a great point. That is a really good point. You're right about the innovation on Spotify. I never thought of that. And I know that the times when they've tried to updated the app or updated the interface, people get really upset. And so if it's working now, why do anything different? They've always pushed podcasters. I get the emails. They push podcasters to upload video versions. But as a podcast consumer and as just a music fan and who occasionally uses Spotify, I don't see video anywhere on there. I don't see anything pushing to me to do video. So as a podcaster, I have the video file. We put it to YouTube. I could easily do it to Spotify. I just don't feel like it. I don't really see how it's going to work. It's interesting. They're not putting their money where their mouth is.
And ultimately, the labels are complacent. They have the power to push Spotify in certain directions. I would like to think at least the majors and maybe all the indies combined. And I feel like whether it's music news, which would certainly have a home on Spotify and be beneficial for artists, whether it's what's it called? Where you can basically subscribe to an artist and get unreleased demos. You can get
like a Patreon.
Like a Patreon, exactly. Something like a Patreon feature for Spotify where you can pay an extra $5 a month. And if I'm like a Death Cab for Cutie fan and I want exclusive access to all this stuff, being able to open up that treasure chest, that seems like an untapped market. And there's just like so many kind of low-hanging fruit ideas that aren't being pushed from labels, that aren't being pushed and actually executed by Spotify, let alone Apple Music, YouTube, etc. That it's very frustrating as someone in the music industry that feels almost a staleness to the landscape right now.
Do you think that music videos are a victim to the vertical lifestyle we're living, this vertical video lifestyle that Spotify just goes, well, we don't expect people to turn their phones on the side?
I think it's a little naive not to think people would turn their phones over. You can do a whole campaign. You can do a whole ad campaign that's like, you're holding your phone wrong. You're holding your phone wrong. That could be a lot of fun. But I think there is some truth to the idea that people are used to consuming content vertically. But that being said, I do see Instagram Reels all the time that are horizontal videos and they just look small on the stream.
People are getting used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that, ultimately, I think that people would be very willing to watch this content and be excited to watch this kind of content, and maybe over the course of a year, maybe would turn their phones to the side.
Okay, I want you to pitch the concept or the value of music videos. I'm gonna be honest with you because I respect you. I don't love music videos. I'm just not a classic music video consumer. I wasn't I didn't grow up watching them. I don't think I was allowed to watch MTV. I probably would have a different feeling if I did watch MTV. I feel like, I think one of the reasons, to me, it's like a little bit of this like analogy of like preferring to read the book than watch the movie. Like, I want to listen to music and I want to close my eyes and I want to have my own picture painted, and I don't want somebody to do that for me. And I feel like when I watch a music video, somebody is giving me a visual, and I'm just weird. And I don't think I'm the norm. I think I'm an outlier here. But why do you think that videos provide a better introduction to the song? I've heard you say that. Like, why do you think it is such a good way to connect the artist and the music fan, or the song and the music fan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I ultimately feel like a great music video is like a good handshake. You know, you're getting to feel and understand a person in a way. You get to have that conversation with an artist and see not only hear what they're selling, but see the whole picture, see the brand. And this applies to official music videos, definitely to live sessions. I mean, when you go to a concert, you're not standing there with your eyes closed. I mean, seeing an artist perform, and that's what I think some of the beauty of the Buzz session and the Tiny Desk concert.
I do love those. I love in studio. I looking at the gear. Yeah, I love everything. Yeah.
So when I talk about music videos, I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about music docs. I'm talking about live sessions. I'm talking about lyric videos. I'm talking about animated videos. And I think what it does so well, the music video platform, and we can talk about just official videos right now, is giving people a 360 view of the art. From the way that artists are conceptualizing, from writing a song to recording a song to working with amazing artists, filmmakers, to bring some of this art to life in a slightly different way. And I have this example that happened 25 years ago, and I have an example that happened 2 months ago. When I was in high school, MTV was on after school. I had it on, and the Death Cab for Cutie music video came on. The music video where he's being like dissected, and it's like a paper mache ribs and everything. And it was for Title and Registration, the song. And I will always remember standing there in front of my screen, this old school tube TV, and watching this full song and saying, yeah, like this song was great. I love this song. But there's something about seeing the artist in the video, or seeing, even if it's not them in the video, a representation visually of the art as the artist intended it to be, that made me feel like I understood the artist a little bit better. And whether it was Ben Gibbard's vision for Title and Registration, or when I was at the Columbia Records office 2 months ago, and they have this big screen TV, projector screen, playing these music videos, and they're playing this amazing music video for Girl in Red. And listen, I'm not living under a rock. I know who Girl in Red is, but I had never fallen in love with the music until I fell in love with the video. And I think that applies to so many videos. Now, there are a lot of bad music videos, I will say. So a good music video has more impact, though, than a bad music video, first of all. And a great music video can really take a fan and turn them into a super fan. And I think that's, as a whole, for the entire industry, we're all trying to crack that code of trying to convert casual listeners to super fans, because they hold so much of the buying power. And I think music videos, obviously experiential can do so much of that. But when it comes to digital and online, I think there's no better tool than music videos to convert listeners.
Okay, I actually completely agree. You've completely changed my mind. You realize that I've agreed with you all along, because I realize now that the music videos I don't like are from the bands that I love and the bands I've always loved. And it's like, I don't need your visual. I just need the album. And whereas I have been subject to a music video being an evangelism tool, where I didn't know anything about this artist. Now I'm checking them out, and they've won me over. And that's also happened within studio or or Jimmy Fallon or whatever. So yes, I completely agree. What happens when, and this is like far out the exception from the rule, but as a not so huge music video fan, I was always turned off by like the concept of, or the career of OK Go, where their videos trumped their music. And for me as an artist, I would feel a little annoyed that people knew my videos more than they knew my music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that there are cases of this, but they are so rare.
They're so rare
that it's almost, it's an outlier. It's an outlier.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, here's an inside baseball question before we move on. Is there a difference or an advantage, or what is your opinions on music videos that involve the band versus music videos that involve actors or animation? Do you know what I mean? Is there like a different impact?
I think it can be different. I don't know if one is better than the other for all artists. I think there is definitely an appeal for animation. It's a great tool. People have a different relationship with animation. And I think there's that ultimately animated music videos are very, very powerful. I'm very much an advocate for making animated content. But at the same time, I don't think that every single one of your music videos should be animated. And ultimately, I think showing your face in a video is important. When it comes to actors in music videos, I love it. I think it's all about variety. You know, when you're an artist and you're releasing an album and maybe making 3 or 4 music videos, if you have the resources, maybe it's a visual album, but it's ultimately your TV channel. So do you want the same show for every single video, or do you want diversity? And I think diversity in content is going to be a really important part of how you release the visual component of your album. So I think having an animated video, having live sessions, maybe having an actor-led music video, definitely having a band-led music video, these are all important pieces of a puzzle that, when complete, are a very effective tool.
And you know what? I think you're right. From a promotional standpoint, having those 4 different music video types for the same album campaign would probably be way more effective, although not as cool as doing a Beyonce thing where every song is a different scene in a movie or something. But I think it's probably more effective for the average artist to reach people where they're at. Because for me, I'm not going to care about the actor-based one, but I am going to care about the in-studio one. Or, you know, Taylor just did the behind the scenes of the Eras tour for her new music video. It probably cost her nothing to make compared to her big, and I'm more drawn to that. I like to see the backstage stuff. It's kind of cool. So I agree with you on the diversity of styles.
Yeah, and I think with the music industry, there were years, you know, with the rise of Blogotech, with the rise of Wild Honey Pie's Buzz Sessions and Daytrotter and all of these different, or less Daytrotter because that was audio only. But there was a lot of expectations that the press side of the industry would just make free music videos for artists in the form of their live sessions. A lot has changed in the last 5 years, maybe more, where there aren't very many companies doing it anymore because people need to be paid. The Wild Honey Pie created Buzz Sessions for years, produced so many Buzz Sessions. And, you know, honestly, I asked a lot of people to do pro bono work, and I regret it. It's
I know
when the production company isn't being paid to create content, the people that suffer are everyone in that production company, whether it's the gaffer, the sound people, the filmmaker, the director. So I'm almost happy to see that side of the industry disappearing in a way, but I do think that style of content is really powerful. And I still see labels, you know, labels are still hiring us to create Buzz Session style live sessions. But it's a little different now because there does need to be a budget. And I think it was a little unrealistic and slightly exploitative of the music industry to put production companies in that position where it was like, oh, well, you can make your 5 cents per video from YouTube advertising as a way to make your money back, which is crazy.
Well, they also looked cheap. like they looked like they were inexpensive to make, even though they were fantastic. I think a label or somebody's thinking, oh, this should, you just press record and the band performs, not realizing that some of those stuff, I mean, Audio Tree, I think, had the best mixing I've ever heard on their in performances. So some of these things there's tons of mics being set up. It's an all-day production, and then somebody's having to mix and master that audio.
Yeah, I mean, with our Buzz Session series, we put a ton of effort into the audio, making sure we're multi-tracking everything, mixing, mastering, making it pristine. So good, in fact, that we have probably 60 tracks up on Spotify from those sessions.
From the sessions, yeah.
Artists like Samia. We've done a lot with Cage the Elephant, Alt J. But that whole side of the industry has changed so much, and it almost, for the best in some ways, that I think we're seeing less live sessions, but the ones that are being done, hopefully, at least with us, have a budget, although it is still a modest budget. But it's heading in the right direction. And when I talk about music videos, like I kind of alluded to, I don't even think it's just music, like official music videos, or even just live sessions and concert footage. It could also be music reviews. Anthony Fantano, The Needle Drop is a great example of content that I think would crush on Spotify. It would be great to be able to see, a whole industry of journalists coming up. And that's what I also alluded to with the news being on Spotify. There's so many, not just production industry and the filmmaking industry that is waiting for Spotify to make a change, and Apple Music hopefully as well. But it's also the journalism industry that I think could benefit from innovation.
My favorite music video genre right now is these DJs that do a set for an hour and a half in a gorgeous backdrop. Shout out to the guys with all the plants that I think are the ones that started it. Now there's lots of them, but I just, oh man, it's so cool. And I just sit there and watch it, and the music's incredible. The turntable is like direct input into there's no mixing involved really. And so, man,
it's a little cheaper to record a DJ than a band for sure. But yeah, I love those. I think Circle is one of them. And then Boiler Room, of course, were the innovators in the space. And that shit's great. I mean, I love what those brands are doing with content. And honestly, my wife is much more into electronic music than I am, and she's always putting those things on. And I see why. It makes a lot of sense.
Listen, if you're going to put that, it's a mix. So if you're going to put a playlist on, you might as well have something in the background where there's like a little visual, and they're gorgeous looking. There's cinematography. They're beautiful.
I mean, this kind of just makes the point that people would want to watch music videos, whether it's live performance or narrative, if there was curation involved.
That's right. Yeah. Because if it's not coming up in your YouTube algorithm, or if it's coming up next to how to build a tree fort or whatever other things are distracting you. Yeah, I like that. A kind of a music-based. Okay, so I did a little Google search about the best music videos of all time, quote unquote best. I mean, I don't know who's, but we're like things like Fatboy Slim, Thriller, Kendrick, Hey Ya, OK Go, Beyonce, Buddy Holly. My question for you, This Is America. That was a great video. Oh my God.
Such a good one. Oh my God.
What do the best music videos all have in common? Like, is there a common denominator or a key ingredient to great videos, or no?
I would say probably not. It's like asking if there's a common denominator for all the good films in the world. I think, I think maybe you want to almost like say video quality, but it's not even that. Like, there could be a really shitty video quality music video that rocks. Yeah. I think it all just comes down to emotion, and that plays off the song and the audio as well as the visuals. Can it invoke an emotion that will make you fall madly in love with the song, with the artist, with what their whole mission is? So I think that would be the common denominator, if there was one, is just invoking emotion.
Are there certain artists? My friend Jordan Clausen, he does incredible videos, and he always works with great directors, and he has often won awards for his films, and a lot of the times they're actors. And I just see him as a music video artist. Is that true? Are there artists who just their music lends itself better to cinematography, to videos of some sorts, maybe the music videos in a traditional sense. And I often wonder if he writes for a video in mind, or knowing that, this might be a video. Do you find that there are some artists that just the music lends itself better, or their aesthetic?
Well, there's certainly songs that are more cinematic, but I think important to remember is how involved artists are with these directors and filmmakers to make the music video. They're oftentimes coming up with the creative brief, saying what core ideas there are. So in that respect, there are definitely artists that have a better knack for it, that have a better knack for bringing the visuals to their songs. Maybe when they're mixing the album and having it mastered, they're thinking, what can I do to bring this to life visually? And having those ideas ready for amazing directors, whether they're a younger director or a director like Spike Jonze, who has done a lot of music videos. So I think, to answer your question, really, I think it's so much of the music video rests oftentimes in the hands of the sole creator of the music, the musician themselves. And some artists have more of a knack for it than others. Yeah,
that's a good point. If you are working for the label or for the publicist, or for you're doing the video, or you're the artist, how are you picking which song to do a video on? If you're listening to the 10 songs on the album, are you saying the lead-off single should be the video? Or are you listening and saying, well, what about this track? It's more cinematic.
You're definitely making music videos for your singles. So it's usually your 3 singles or 4 singles, whatever you decide. That I will say, there are times when there's a way to combine 2 songs into one video, and I love when I see that. When it's
really,
when they basically will take 2 songs, make a whole music video that tells a story over the course of 2 songs. And in that respect, maybe the first song isn't the single. And so that's like an exception to the rule. But I personally love when artists will take 3 music videos, whether they're released together in one actual YouTube embed or separately, but still telling a continuous story, when they kind of all connect. I think when you're creating an MCU for your album, I think that's pretty cool.
I agree. I think that is really cool, because and when you have the same typography, the same color, and they're all, that's awesome.
Then you're in short film territory.
Yeah, that's right. Are you seeing innovation? How do you kind of drive your own innovation? The music video, very much like the single, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, catchy, blah, blah, blah. Music videos, in my mind, have kind of been that way too. Like, you're going to catch me with emotion, or it's going to be funny, or a little bit of both, or there's a surprise element, or it's just cinematically beautiful, and they're great shots of a nice looking person in a field mixed in with studio shots. Very rare do we see innovation. OK Go was a great band that did that type of innovation for a little while. Do you think about that? Like, how do we surprise people? How do we do something different with this format?
Yeah, I think there are some limitations just because of budget, that even the artists with the highest budgets, like their VFX budget isn't going to be the same as maybe a short film or a film in general. But I do think there's always ways to push the envelope with the medium of the music video, whether it's an official live action video or animation. On our end at the Wild Honey Pie, we're just trying to work with the most talented directors with fresh ideas as we possibly can, as well as just like crazy talented 2D animators that can bring things to life. I think there's a lot of opportunity to meld the two as well, live action with animation. I don't see it done very often. It's something we would like to be doing more of here. And then in general, there's a lot to be said about AI, and that when you're an artist and you're a label and you have very little budget because the platforms don't exist for the music video right now, you're going to go ahead and do what Washed Out did with Sub Pop and release a really kind of sickening AI generated music video. Now, there is a time and a place for AI in this kind of content. I think if you need a big explosion and you don't have the money for a VFX artist, maybe you just don't do it and pay a VFX artist when you can. But even still, if it's really important to the dialogue, there are AI tools that can help. But I do not think that AI should be generating an entire music video from scratch. And I think that the art is lost on that. And that's something that does scare me a little bit about what's happening in the music industry.
So wait, Washed Out did something on this latest record?
Yeah, on the latest record with Sub Pop, they released a music video in partnership with Sora, I think it's called, which is the video, the OpenAI video generative AI.
And when you say it was sickening, is that a good adjective?
It's just about the most negative thing I can say.
Okay. Okay.
And listen, it's funny because like I really love the music. And that is that is an example of how a bad music video, it can turn people off. It can. It turned me off.
Was it? I wish I saw it before we started chatting. But what was it? Was it boring?
I don't know if that it was boring, but it was just so obviously AI that even though they had a director doing it, typing in the prompts, and like coming up with some of the ideas, it just like kind of reeked. It kind of reeked, and I don't like talking negatively about anything like that because, you know, I really love the music and I love Sub Pop so much.
It's a good album,
and it's such a great album. But I think you just need to be very careful about the use of AI with music videos. Similarly to how when, and I'm mentioning Marvel, but when Marvel released the show, the Nick Fury show, Secret Invasion, and they used AI for the intro sequence, like that is naughty. It's like shouldn't be done, and they got backlash. And I don't think Washed Out got much backlash other than in the comments of the video, which were overwhelmingly negative. But I think it's just something as an artist that people should be really careful about, is that balance of how to use AI in a way that's beneficial to the final result without kind of overwhelming the creative and making it an AI thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope that we continue to use AI like the same way we use plugins in Pro Tools, like just to affect the electric guitar just ever so slightly in a way that is just 1% of one track of the whole mix, and you know, as opposed to saying make me a song. You know, I hope we can continue to just use it in really, really small ways, to use AI to color correct, to match all of the, you know, something like that. But yeah, that's interesting. I really gotta bring that up. I mean, I won't criticize it because I would have a hard time saying no to OpenAI's money if there was money involved. But
I'm sure there was money involved. But at the same time that OpenAI, I would like the Sub Pop on your bottle. At the same time that OpenAI is paying for this kind of stuff, there are brands out there that are helping fund music videos. So the money, you know, it's all like, you know, the Wild Honey Pie, so much of what we do is brand funded. Now, I think it's really important as a creator to be curating who is paying for your shit. And, you know, I won't just take money from any brand. I'm not going to take a deal, no matter how big it is, no matter how large it is. I would not take money from ExxonMobil. I think that's a good stance to have.
Sure, yeah.
Do I think OpenAI is? I don't think they're as bad as ExxonMobil. In many ways, they're so great, but I do think it's a net negative to be making music videos exclusively using AI, whether it's OpenAI.
It might not age well.
It's not going to age well. It's not. And it does concern me a bit when it comes to like animated music videos. That people are going to be like, well, can we pay a human $10,000 to make this video, or should we just type in a prompt on OpenAI and have a $1,000 music video that we can put out there instead?
Yeah, no, I definitely think this space, specifically the stock photo and video space, is really, they're kind of the closest to the water's edge. I think with AI. Let's get off this spooky subject. Going back to being really specific with the artist, do certain genres do better than others on video? I always think of alternative rock and punk and emo that I see they do cool videos or funny videos. Pop, obviously, is dominant in this space. Whereas I think there's some artists like electronic artists, like I'm really not keen on watching a glorified screensaver for 7 minutes. So do you find like some genres do this better? No disrespect to your wife and her favorite genre, but what do you think about certain types of music and music videos?
I personally prefer watching a music video when there's lyrics. So I think that can guide a lot of this conversation.
Right.
Whether it's hip hop, indie, pop, etc.
It is weird how it pushes the lyrics push the song forward.
They do. I mean, there's literally a whole subgenre of music videos that are the lyric video for a reason.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know if I think that within the music world of lyric songs, that one genre has better music videos than the other. I think it can come from anywhere.
Okay. All right. I was trying to push you into a corner, but yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I think the lyrics thing is probably what I was getting at, because I was just oftentimes, like a John Hopkins or something will promote a new track and he's just smacking a visual to it just so that it because he has to upload something to YouTube,
exactly.
And so you're probably right. It is probably unless the performer is performing the music right there on piano, that's probably a little bit different.
And I think to almost like an offshoot of this topic exactly, when there's a really good music video, the genre doesn't matter. And so much of music is subjective. People have their favorite genres. Hell, I love indie. I love pop. I don't listen to a ton of electronic, like I said. But I do think a great music video takes away any barrier to a genre alliance. I think when there's a great music video, that can change. I mean, listen, I love Anderson .Paak now. And it wasn't a music video. But how I was introduced to Anderson .Paak was actually the Apple ad. Apple ad that was essentially a music video for the HomePod.
Sure.
With FK Twigs dancing. And that was essentially a music video. And that opens up a whole new conversation about how ads can be music videos, etc. But that music video / commercial is just a great example of how genre doesn't matter when it's great content.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And there's been times where I've watched a music video and I've cried, or I've gotten goosebumps, or I've just been blown away. But the music isn't my genre. I probably never listened to that song again, but I still would rank it as, my favorite music video of that time, whatever. So that's a very interesting point. From a promotional standpoint, a great PR campaign for the labels in our community, it's made up of a bunch of different things. It's not just the music video. It's not just pitching to streaming. It's merch. It's getting write-ups. It's going on tour. All of the things that a label can do to promote a song or an album. The music video is usually one of the most arduous and expensive sometimes. So how do you overcome that reality if it is just one piece of the pie? Perhaps you get lucky and it's the biggest piece of the pie, or half of the pie, or a quarter of the pie. But if it ends up just being one of 10 things we got to do as a label to promote this record, how do you overcome the fact that it might be the most expensive?
Yeah, I think that ultimately music videos are going to have to make artists money someday in some way.
Yeah.
And I think platforms giving this medium or elevating this medium would take us a lot of the way there, as flawed as all of their business models are. But to think that if Netflix had a music video show, that they would obviously be compensating artists for that. I think that's certainly plausible and something that excites me. But with every album, there's a marketing budget. With every album, there's a marketing budget, and you can measure ROI in a vast, diverse amount of ways. And I think when it comes to the value of the music video, some can be, money coming back, whether it's YouTube revenue, which is minimal, Spotify revenue someday, which will also be minimal, Netflix money, brand money. I think there's a lot of ways that there can be money coming in, but at the end of the day, it is a marketing expense. It's the same reason that a brand runs a commercial on TV. Really? Yeah. I mean, it has to be the same reason, that you want people connecting visual and audio in a way that you have control over.
Just to kind of, one of the interesting things as I've been thinking about as we've been chatting is I do feel like music videos have a longer lifespan today than they did back in MTV. It was like you were in the charts. When it stopped, it was gone. You would never see it again unless the music fan bought the VHS, the compilation, or the DVD that included all their music videos. Today, people will continue to discover an artist and then watch a 10-year-old music video on YouTube, and it really can live on.
Yeah, and that's why Spotify and Apple Music, including music videos, I think is more viable than ever. Because there's so many videos, so much content to pull from, so much to be said from the platform.
I want to ask you about YouTube, because I think YouTube is underutilized by I think YouTube is underutilized by everyone. I think I love YouTube. It's crazy to me how that just shifted from being a place to watch silly videos and a place for more computer people to being like, this is now replacing television as we know it. And I have a YouTube channel for my artist page that I don't remember making. I don't even know if I made it. Maybe my distributor just linked my songs to it. But I looked at it the other day. It's been there forever, and it has 650 subscribers, and it's been going up by a couple a week. And I thought, I'm going to hit that monetization mark on my personal channel if I were to put a little bit of effort into it, tidy up the channel and do a couple intentional videos, I could probably hit that monetization mark pretty soon. So I'm thinking, like, why don't I do, and I have no interest in doing TikTok videos, but like it interests me to do like mix breakdowns in Pro Tools, or to like talk about my songs, or to play a track in the studio. So I'm thinking more, I need to move in the direction of using my YouTube channel as an artist. What are your thoughts on more artists having just a basic YouTube channel?
Oh, I think it's really important, and I think I would like to see more of it done. I'm a YouTube Premium subscriber. Like, I friggin' love YouTube. I'm all about it. And I watch music content on there. I watch the news on there. I watch everything.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to be said about artists really developing their channel, whether it's behind the scenes content, whether it's shorts. I think shorts are actually a great tool for artists, similar to TikTok and Reels, but slightly different because the platform is very different. And I think that's something that artists should be doing more of. Absolutely. It shouldn't just be for their official music videos, which is why I think it's so obvious that artists are not using YouTube, right? Because the Wild Honey Pie has literally like tens of thousands of more followers than most of the artists that release music videos with us.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, it is, I think that's the thought, is because YouTube was always more about uploading a video that you want to stand behind for 10 years and not necessarily putting throwaway content or less polished content. I think that kind of the era of the vloggers and just turning on the camera and some of these people having millions of subscribers doing that, I think that's kind of, lowered the barrier a little bit for entry. And so now, I would have thought the same thing. I'll have the audio versions of my songs, which are just horizontal album covers, and then the MP3 of each album, and then my official music video. So essentially, I won't be updating my YouTube page only every 3 years, you know, but to kind of change that thinking, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happened to, shifting gears real quick, and then I'll let you go. What happened to MTV? I mean, how come we had this thing that was driving and essentially creating this format that we're talking about today, and then probably one of the you know, being one of the biggest and most influential companies to not. It's a really interesting story.
Yeah, and it's sad in a lot of ways. I think for a lot of people like myself who used to work at MTV, and honestly, more sad for people that were higher up at MTV and making some decisions, like folks that I know. But the internet happened to MTV. I think that's the short answer, is the internet killed MTV, and they failed to innovate. MTV, when I was there, was launching the artist platform, which they thought was like the answer to MySpace and Facebook. Basically like artist pages.
Right.
And it was a good idea, but it was not good. And it failed. It failed pretty miserably. Whereas it could have been a YouTube for music videos. Yeah. I think that could have worked. But I think it's way too late for them now. And as we're seeing, and I'm listening to podcasts about it, they put all their eggs in the reality basket. Now reality is struggling, and they're slashing budgets for reality shows. So who knows? I think MTV is paramount now. They are not music television. They don't call themselves music television. It's MTV. The VMAs are pretty sweet. I think that's cool and good for the industry. But ultimately, as a brand, MTV isn't a music brand anymore. And I think that's really sad and harmful for the music industry. But I do have hope that there will be something to replace it. And I think that Spotify in many ways have replaced MTV. And YouTube has replaced MTV. I think Vivo wants to replace MTV. I don't think Vivo is the answer. But I do think there is a massive hole in the industry that MTV has left behind. But it's not like a recent development. I mean, MTV hasn't been music television in 15 years. It's been a while.
I guess the thing that surprises me is that we're not seeing kind of a rebrand of it, because it's one of the most iconic brands in American pop culture. And to me, it just surprises me that they're taking all of our nostalgic IP from anybody who's 30s and 40s. They're taking all of our 80s and 90s IP and bringing them back and making tons of money off them. I'm surprised we don't see some sort of MTV TRL happening.
I mean, it could very well happen. I think that if music videos became, which I think they very well could, became a more popular medium, that I'm pretty sure we'd see MTV do something with it.
Right.
Very, very, very sure of that.
Do you think, this just came to me as a little theory as I was working on this interview this morning, do you think that one of the things that maybe hurt music videos back in the early 2000s was potentially that the sync world, and how cool music was being placed back on that kind of like the early 2000s WB era of like the
Gossip
OC
Girl
Montreal.
And OC,
Yeah.
Do I think that hurt the music video?
Yeah.
I think it could only have helped. I think music discovery, which is like our business model at the Wild Honey Pie, but it's like music discovery has taken all sorts of paths and meandering turns, and it's been a long and winding road for music discovery, and it's always changing. Music discovery through TV is a brilliant, beautiful way to find a song. I mean, that is how, Alex Pitsavis's work on Grey's Anatomy and all these shows, it defined an era. It literally defined an era in early indie days. Yeah. And I think you're still seeing some of that today with a popular Netflix show. I think there was a show on Netflix that an artist we worked with named Ash was on, and her monthly listeners went to like 12 million people. So you can have that kind of viral moment still from a really good placement. I don't think there's a show right now, at least to my knowledge, and there very well could be, that is like the music show, that is placing songs in a way that's really creative. But that being said, there's a lot of really talented music supervisors out there, my good friend Joe Rudge being one of them, that are very actively trying to find opportunities for artists in TV and film. And the truth is, there's more TV than ever because of all these streaming platforms. So there's more opportunities than ever to have your music placed. Although I will say, I'm sure the budgets are lower because there's more content being created. But I think that music, like TV as a medium for discovery of music, is an amazing thing. It's a great thing, and I don't think it negatively impacts music videos.
Just something that complements the music video in a way. Yeah.
I mean, how cool would it be if Natalie Portman was in a movie that your song was in and it made your song popular, and then you made a music video with Natalie Portman? I think that kind of stuff seems like there's a lot of fun opportunities there if that were to happen.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Man, this has been fun. I appreciate you taking the time to chat about this topic. I'm so glad we dived into this topic because obviously it's clearly a passion of yours, which I'm grateful for. And it's something that I think is really important, the visual component. And I'm actually really excited about the idea that you kind of included the tiny desks and the in-studio performances or the live performances into that music video world, because I think that takes a little bit of weight off of the artist's shoulders who go, I don't have an idea for a music video. I don't know any directors. I don't want to be on camera necessarily acting. So to think there's other ways of doing the music video, that's kind of encouraging. Animation, as you mentioned. So that's pretty cool.
Definitely. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity here. A few things need to happen for it to work. Yeah. I'm confident they're going to happen. I've heard they're happening behind the scenes. So all good things. And I feel very fortunate to be in a position where part of my career is creating content like this for artists and working with brands to make it happen, working with labels to make it happen, and doing a lot of live performance video stuff as well. It's a lot of fun. And honestly, for the same reason that a good album cover matters, the same reason a music video matters.
You're speaking my language, man. You must know I love album covers.
Oh my God, I'm all about album covers. All about album covers.
I like it when there's a hint of the album cover in the music video. And on the other side of it, when they don't use the same typography that they used on the album cover in the music video, I'm like, guys, what are you doing?
I know, definitely. And that's why when we work with artists, oftentimes we suggest, hey, we'd love to do a few of the music videos and do the album art and the merch and make it all connect. And we've had a few artists that we've been able to work with in that capacity, which has been fun.
It's a beautiful thing. Eric, thanks so much. It's been fun.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. Have a great one.